Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the conversation, because that's all it is. Intentional creativity.
How are we feeling about that name? Is that still hitting, the intentional creator?
I feel like it's landing for me pretty great. I think it's really grounded in a lot of ways. I think it helps stay grounded for what we're doing and what the conversation is, because I think that's, again, all it is just we're just having a conversation. We're trying to have a conversation about creativity, how we create in the modern world, how we create with the digital experience and the constant barrage of dopamine that it is. And so how do you stay grounded in yourself? And so I think intentional creativity for me is still feeling like it's exactly what it is. And the more we sit with it, the more we can kind of find a different title. But for now, I'm feeling great.
No, I think it does work. It says exactly what it is, like we said in the last one. I think when I was making setting up the podcast on Spotify and all that kind of stuff, I was like, what's a cool name for this? I think that's been one of my biggest problems not problems, but one of the biggest things throughout my social media career is trying to make things look and sound cool instead of just saying what it is. And so even my journey, how it started was my username was Visual Rev, because I wanted to be this cool, edgy, street photographer, and I didn't just use my name. And so I noticed myself doing the same thing with this now. It's what's a cool name for this? When it's no.
Oh yeah, because you're Dean Tucker now. Aren't you Dean Tucker on your Instagram now?
Yeah, I've been Dean Tucker for 2 years now.
That's what's up. That's cool.
But yeah, Visual Rev was a big part of my life for, 5 years.
We kind of flip-flopped in that way then. Because now it's not my name anymore.
Jackson K. Thomas, yeah. Yeah.
I still need to just email Instagram, because it's still not up. It's still not an active username. And so they've still got it on lock somewhere. I need to reach out to them and be how do I get this back? I've tried to reach out to them a bunch. They just haven't hit me back.
Oh, so you can't change it back to your name?
No, I don't understand what happened to it still. I reached out to them a bunch when it happened, but I just never got any response from them.
That's so weird. And no one else took it, unless somebody else took it and then has their accounts on private or
right.
Something where
that's the only other thing I can think of is somebody took it and then.
But also, what's the chances of somebody else having Jackson K. Thomas as their name?
Just for the heck of it, and then to not even use it in any sort of active way.
That's super weird.
I don't know. Because I've tried to search it and to see if I couldn't send them a message and be but there's no account anymore that has it. So I'm assuming it's still held. I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of usernames, I set up YouTube membership on my page today, but I was just looking back at some of my old videos and the things I've done, and one of the first videos that ever went quote unquote viral for me, I think it's on 80,000 views now, which in the grand scheme of YouTube that's not viral, but for me that was a big deal, because that was the first thing that started gaining traction, and it was a video called how to pick a good username. And so that first one got 80,000 views, and then I actually made another one a year later because that first one was doing so well, but I felt so embarrassed by the first one because it was early YouTube days where I was super awkward. And I made another one. I think that one's on 500k or something crazy. I guess everyone's trying to look for a good username. But yeah, it's funny, the whole username thing as well, and I guess that can be another episode. It's how to pick a username nowadays, because it's so difficult to find a username, because there's just billions of accounts,
and then people who have bought the usernames and just have them.
Yeah, exactly. Just hoarding the usernames for whatever reason.
Right.
But anyway,
definitely another podcast.
Yeah, let's get into this one. So today we're speaking about how to approach social media if you're not a visual artist. So you actually brought this question up. Tell me how this came to mind.
I think it's been coming to mind more consistently in the past few years for me, actually. As a visual artist, I'm constantly networking and connecting with other creatives, other artistic elements, and for the past few years I've actually been out of the kind of photography world and kind of more in the music scene and the DJ scene, and even been connecting with painters and these different kind of artists who aren't necessarily digital in the sense of like
they're on photo video.
Exactly, they're not photo video. So I've been connecting with these other artistic elements, and I've been recognizing that there's this kind of need and this hole that wants to be filled of like how do you translate your artistic element of what you bring in the sense of your music or your painting or your spoken word, right? Whatever you do in the sense of whatever you find expression in, how do you transition that and translate that into a very visual photo video world?
Easy.
We're all living in that photo video world. Yeah. It's exactly, how do you make it so it's not so disconnected from how the Instagram likes to, it's exactly, easily consumable on the platforms that we all use. And so I've been noticing that that's a need that is there, and it came up directly yesterday, and when we were talking about what we're going to speak on today, it just came up because yesterday I was with somebody who does she does body work as her creative practice, which is obviously a very physical, like there's not attached documentation, there's nothing visual happening, it's all
there's also no record of it,
no record of it, exactly. So like, but she's been like wanting to promote herself more on Instagram, and that's why we're connecting, is because I'm going to do some photos for her in her work, which is really cool. But like, I've also been thinking in the sense of like, Instagram is such a personalized thing these days. Everybody, you kind of have to take ownership over it, no matter how many people you want to hire out to do all these different things. If you don't have an understanding of like how to work with it yourself or your own brand or what you're kind of presenting or showing, it's kind of difficult to keep a cohesive sense of, visual and expression on there. And so that just kind of came up immediately yesterday in that dynamic, because that was the immediate conversation that we're having. I'm doing photos for her, but also I was like, how can we create a structure and a frame for you so that you can have a better idea of how to create this and do this and have a relationship with this yourself. I think that's important when you're running a social media, when you're running a business, when you're running your own creative account, like having a relationship with it, I think is important. So that was where this question kind of came up from, on top of all the other stuff that all the previous things that I was saying of just like working with musicians and all these different art forms. So how do you do it? How do you do it as like a non-visual artist?
It is, especially now that you explain it, that's a really good question, because there are so many people, I think especially writers, like the internet kind of started with blog posts really, and that was the first almost form of social networking. Like I know there was MySpace and then early days of Facebook, but the early creatives on the internet were writers. And they kind of just got pushed aside to almost forced into this visual world. And now there's not a place for writers. I actually saw an ad the other day for a new social media that's starting, that's targeted towards writers, and it actually looked very interesting. So that looked cool.
And Twitter was trying to do that, or it is doing that kind of.
But that's almost like short form writing. It's like
exactly.
It's like TikTok for writers. But I think about people like that, and how, if you've never been trained in the visual arts, in design, in video, in photo, how do you approach social media? How do you do this thing?
Because it's funny, like I've never really thought about. I've always been a visual artist. Like I've always been doing stuff visually, so it doesn't really. It's very second nature to me. Yeah. But then I think about it, I'm like, oh right.
Most people don't know how to do this.
Skill.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, same for me. Like, been doing visual creatives my entire life, and then started photography when I was 17, 18, and just have been doing that for the past 10 years. So it's almost been, we got very lucky of falling into this medium where it is designed for the world that we live in now. Like everything is video, so we're in high demand, obviously, which is good. But yeah,
which is great
for people that don't know, even like businessmen, or like I'm doing work with a lawyer right now, and it's like, how do you present that information visually and on social media? Because everyone wants to be on social media nowadays, because that's where the attention is. And so I guess so. That's definitely.
What are your thoughts so far of like what lands for you when that question is asked, and now kind of getting more of this like you're saying, like the lawyer, like how do you think about telling people how to use it?
So Oh, actually, I do have a really good use case example. So I've been doing some work, or more like volunteer work, helping a non-profit organization that's based in, well, it's a guy from Austria, and has a partner in Austria as well, but he's built a team in South Africa around educating underprivileged kids in South Africa and giving them opportunities to go onto businesses and like creating real change in their communities.
Wow.
And so he has known nothing about visual communication, visual design, photo, video, all that kind of stuff. So he approached me and we actually had a long conversation, and I put together kind of a social plan for him. And one of the things that I said kind of in the beginning, like you said, is making it feel more personal. And I said to him, I was like, you don't need to do anything special or extravagant anymore on social media. Like you can if you want to, but really you can just set the camera up and just start speaking and tell your story. That's what people want to see nowadays. So I think, if anything, for people that don't have a visual basis or training, just make it simple for yourself.
Right.
Just use your phone. No one cares if you're using a fancy camera. Like, you can film stuff on your phone nowadays. And especially the quality of phones are so good that some phones are even better than some
crazy.
cameras. So you don't.
I use my phone consistently in my process of creating.
And I really don't think people care as much anymore. So yeah, just don't.
People care about the content. People care about what's in it.
Exactly. Yeah. So
like, people are interested in what's in the visual. What are you showing? Obviously, for a photographer, right, the visual is part of the whole experience. But like, if you have this offering, like this lawyer, right, people are interested about what he knows about the law that they don't.
Exactly.
So just throw up the camera and just start chatting about certain like bylaws or whatever. Like, I would watch that.
I think
be helpful.
Gary Vee was actually onto this a long time ago, where he's
the whole time has been like this.
He said, document, don't create. Especially if you aren't a creative, just document what you're doing, document your thoughts.
100%. He's been the OG in this, and that's exactly what I've been like since like yesterday when I was hanging with that body worker that was like, we were building this relationship with how to create and document her practice, and that's what I was telling her. It's like, you're not really creating anything. Like, don't think about it as this isn't your creation. You do your body work as creation, right?
It's almost like, more marketing than creative.
100%. Well, exactly. And it's 100% that. It's more marketing than creative, and it really just is a matter of like setting up the phone and actually just recording it. And the more you do that, the more you will develop subtle cues of like, oh, like that framing was kind of funky. Let me just like adjust a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's a good example. So one of my friends, he's in the finance industry, but he loves travel and adventure, and he goes snowboarding like every single weekend and does a whole bunch of things, like his backpack South America, backpack Europe, and he was doing all these cool things, and he's like, I really want to start documenting this. No formal training in creativity at all, but he just started doing it and then learning as he went, and now he's to the point where he's like, I mean, I guess you could call him in a way a content creator. Like, he's decent at what he does. It's not like professional level, but you don't need to be professional cinematic movie level on social
Well, and there's a lot of people in the content creation world that literally is just them talking. Like, literally just them talking and them just doing it consistently, and they've got good things to say.
Yeah. And I think that's the most important thing. If you can just show up consistently, like you said, and just share authentically. Show up consistently and share authentically. That's the tagline.
Look at him go. That is the tagline.
That's the answer to this whole podcast. So we just ended right there.
That's it. 2 episodes. We're done.
Yeah, I really just think that's all it is. And then when it comes to the gear, when it comes to the technical aspects of it, like,
if you want to grow, you can.
Yeah.
Right. Don't overthink it. If you want to do something with that, you can. If not, who cares? Don't overthink it.
Yeah. And I think building relationships with your audience is more important than producing high quality. And that comes with the consistency.
Yeah. Well, I think that's actually what the video film creator world has kind of lost themselves in, actually, in a little bit.
That's true. We've become so obsessed with the quality.
We've become so obsessed with the quality that we've forgotten that the whole point of this is just to tell story.
Yeah.
And to share, and to tell story to connect.
Yeah.
And to be able to find resonance with one another, and use our art mediums to help develop and cultivate that connection with one another. And yeah, I mean, that's been a conversation the whole time, quality or what the content is.
Yeah.
But I think, again, like, even the visual artists can learn something from that point of, like, remember that we're just, what are we putting out? How are we connecting? How are we sharing authentically?
Yeah. I think a lot of visual artists have also fallen into the trap now of teaching their visual arts. Not that it's a trap, and not that it's a bad thing to teach your skill your skill as a visual artist, but like you said, we've stopped telling the stories as visual artists and focused on teaching how to be visual artists, because that's the skill that we have, and that's what's in demand from the creator economy, if you want to call it that, the social media landscape. And so now all of a sudden, if you know how to do something technically very good, everyone wants to know how to do that instead of the story that you're telling. And so that was the trap that I fell into, where I was doing my adventures, taking photos, and that's what I really loved, but everyone wanted to know how I was making that thing. And so I then became a teacher of how to make that thing instead of doing the thing and telling the stories I was telling in the first place. So that's almost the difficult part for highly technical visual creatives. But if you can have that awareness and still focus on your story and your authentic message, then you definitely have a leg up.
Yeah, I think that there's something really to be said about what state can you like go into to find flow in, and that's what you're documenting. Like, and that's what you want to sit in the sense of, like, what do you do in your life that you can just do, that you don't have to think about, even if you don't have something necessarily, but like you've felt that sense. We've all kind of felt that sense of like, wow, I feel like that was just easy, that just like flowed through me, you know.
Well, I've been thinking that with my own stuff recently. I was like, oh, where's my little notebook? It's gone forever. No, is this is the old one. Damn it.
You got a ton of them.
I do have
them all over the place.
It's on my shelf there right now. But yeah, I was like last week just driving myself a little bit crazy. I think I told you this about YouTube and like what I want to do, and I have so many different ideas, and I was like, just do the things that you want to do, the things that you're good at doing, and document them in a non-obtrusive way. Just set up a tripod, set up your phone,
right,
and do the things that you like doing.
Right,
like you said.
We were talking about that with the hiking.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just like,
we enjoy hiking.
I'm going to go hiking, go adventuring, and just film that, and then tell people how to do that afterwards. But like in that flow state, I'm just doing my thing, and so I can just do that and document that passion. And like obviously, if it's hiking, I'm just going to be walking in the woods, but that's the passion for me. But like, if you're a lawyer and you get really passionate about a certain law, or a certain case, or a certain topic, or certain movement, or whatever, document your thoughts on that. Document that passion. If you're a chiropractor and you do like some crazy backcracking move, like document that. I don't know.
Yeah. Show us how to do it. Like put up the camera and be like, if you sit like this and put your hand like this and move your neck like that, you can crack your second vertebrae. Like that's so dope. And super helpful and super practical.
I also think at the end of the day, like we're all teachers. We all teach the things that we know. So a doctor, for example, a doctor obviously has to do the practical things that they do. They have to perform the surgery, but they also have to then relay that information to the patient and teach them what's going on with their bodies. So it's just almost like replacing the real life person with a screen, with a camera, and speaking to your real people on social media, because they are still real people there.
Well, and again, that's why the flow state is so helpful, because that might feel overwhelming in the sense of like, whoa, I've never really just done this in front of a camera, and it might be overwhelming, right? But in the sense of like, don't think about the camera, think about what you do. Like, don't think about what is in front of what the camera is documenting. Think about, and like anything that comes with that, anything to the fact like that's going on social media or whatever. Think about how your flow gets online. Get into that flow state. Focus on the flow state. Focus on how you like just let that come through you, and that should, and you the more you work with this, the more powerful it'll become, will help you just drop in to you just doing it and you allowing it to come through.
I just a note on that, So I've been doing quite a bit more art recently and drawing, and I really wanted to document that and share what I was doing on social media, but I didn't want to distract myself from, again, doing the actual thing by like making it about the video instead of doing the drawing or the painting. And so I was like, again, how can I make this easy? And for me, that was just, now the tagline to this podcast is set it and forget it. Set up the camera and just forget about it. You are really good at doing that. You'll do your yoga, your breath work, your meditations, your cold plunges. You just set up your camera and you do your thing. And it's really cool to just watch, again, you getting into that flow state. So set it and forget it.
And the other thing about that I think that is really cool with that is the fact that it helps you create a distance. It helps you create a little bit of a distance with your social media. Because as much as we're involved with it, as much as we're, you and I specifically are visual artists, as much as people maybe listening to this are wanting to be promoting more and being on social media more, there's also this battle that everybody deals with of like just scrolling and being on there and being addicted. And so I think that for me, a big thing that's been really helpful with the set it and forget it thing is the fact that I feel like I'm bringing that set it and forget it energy through the whole process now. I'm like, even when I'm on Instagram, I'm like, post, like, or with the text or whatever I'm adding into it, just like the little things that I add to like kind of give it its character. Post it, done with it, and for the most part, these days I'm getting off and I'm done. That's it. And so I think that that's a good practice for you, just your own mental state when you're in trying to drop into that flow state. But it's also like a cool meditative thing to like help you rewire your relationship with the actual thing. Because as much as I'm a visual artist, I also hate Instagram.
I know, same.
I hate the thing. Like, it's so annoying. Yes. Like, it's so addictive. There's so much dopamine. There's so much stuff that the algorithm itself is using to keep your mind focused on it. And so how do we build a little bit of a separation there between the two things, and just using it to do what you do, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Like, do what you do and then leave it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's another element
that's
too.
A really good point. So set it and forget it. So make your content, make your video, take your photos, put it out there, set it, and forget it. Move on. Get back to your life. Get back into the real world.
Who cares?
Get back into the thing that you're doing. Don't go post your thing and then spend another 2 hours on Instagram wasting your time.
Overanalyzing it.
Yeah, just let it go. It's out there. You've posted it. Nothing is going to be perfect ever. Like, I don't think there's been anything I've made, any of my videos, that I think is perfect.
Right.
I've come close sometimes to things I'm really proud of, but even then, that's my perspective. That's my view, that's my bias. Somebody else might think it's complete shit.
Well, and it's cool too, because when you can kind of approach it in that way, you get to watch yourself grow.
Yeah.
You're not actually looking at it from an analytical place of like judgment. You're looking at it from a place of like, wow, like look how much I'm look how much I'm moving through these different processes of how I'm working with my own relationship to what I like to do.
Yeah.
That's such a cool way to like, be able to document
it's the documentation of your life and your journey through whatever practice you're doing, whatever profession.
Which, like, as much as the internet is, oh my gosh, there's so much distracting, oh my gosh, there's so much jaja, like, that's a beautiful part of it. It's so beautiful. Like, I love the fact that I have content that are still on my YouTube channel from when I was like 13.
Yeah.
It's so cool to be able to go back. It's like, it's so cringy, but it's so cool to be able to go back and look at a lot of this stuff and just be like, wow, like what a different place I was in. Look how much I've grown. Look who I am now.
Yeah. And you can see the things that you cared about as well. It's a visual journal, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And thinking about it, I like the documentation, the journaling, like thinking about it in that way, I think really helps, again, create a little bit of a distance. It creates a little bit of like, okay, this isn't about clout. This isn't about the numbers. This isn't about the ego necessarily. That's part of it. It's here. It's involved in it. But
it's about documenting your journey and then sharing your knowledge with other people, I think.
Yeah, 100%. What are some practical ways that non-visual folks can maybe think about how to just simply and easily activate this within their day-to-day routines and lives, and as they're developing their relationship with what they do?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, we already spoke about the set it and forget it thing. You can literally just use your phone, like balance it against some books, a windowsill, a ledge, a shelf, a pillow, whatever. Just find a way to set up your phone. You can also get really cheap, cool little tripods on Amazon for like $10. That's a great start. Again, just setting up the camera, talking to camera, just speaking out your truth, your beliefs, your authenticity to just directly to the camera. You don't have to do anything fancy once again. I think another way is, if you're a musician or anywhere in the audio space, play your music, do your thing, 100%. Set up the camera. Like, that's all you have to do. Like, there's so many artists on TikTok that have just exploded just from just putting a camera in front of the thing they were already doing without it there. And I know that adds like a weird pressure. I've done it myself as well, but I promise you, with just a couple days of practice, a couple times doing it, you'll get more comfortable, and again, the trick is just to forget that it's there. Don't think about filming yourself doing the thing. Think about the thing that you're doing. Trying to think what else. For writers, for poets, do your writing without the camera involved, and then just read it out to camera, or film a sunset or the ocean water and do a little voiceover. Again, it doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be complicated. I'm trying to think what other mediums there would be. For businessmen, again, set up a camera, speak your truth, show examples.
Yeah, I think the talking is the biggest thing. Like, just start to like talk it out. Even if, like, for me right now, I'm doing yoga in the morning, right? Every morning, and I'm doing a time lapse of me doing my yoga. It could even be you working. Just get a time lapse of you working. And so, like, in the sense of, if a camera, you talking right to the camera is scary, just get a time lapse of you working and then go back through and do a voiceover over that. Or just put text over it. You don't even have to say anything yet.
I have been enjoying your voiceover ones, because I also think, again, from a practical engagement point of view, you speaking over your time lapses is way more engaging than just the time lapse. Like, the time lapses are cool just to see what you're doing, but once you add the reason that you're doing it, your belief behind it, I actually want to hear what you're saying. So if you can combine visual and audio, visual and like voice of message, and then if you want to go for the trifecta, adding subtitle text over that as well, that adds a bit more complication in like the editing phase.
But the other part of this too is the fact that you can't deny that we are all living in a very visually centered age. So working with this muscle as well is just going to help you develop a relationship with it. That'll be really cool. Again, you're just documenting your journey. You'll be able to watch the initial stuff you've been putting out and be like, damn, that was garbage. And then later down the line, a couple months later down the line, you're like, wow, look at me grow. Like, I'm putting out captions, I'm putting out like voiceovers over it, I'm doing these cool little things. There's a lot of little pockets you can find in the editing flow through the apps that they're really well developed at this point now, to where you can, like, you know, be creative in those ways too. And
we didn't know how to do anything we do until now, of just doing it multiple times for years.
Just doing it over and over and over again. Yeah, what'd you say? Show up consistently, show up authentically.
Yep.
It's just over and over and over again. And you'll find some magic.
Yeah, that's it really. I was going to say something else and now I forgot. I'm mad. I had a good point to make.
Bummer.
I know, right?
Come back.
The worst part. It'll probably come to me in like 5 minutes, so I guess we can just keep talking. Damn. It's gone. It's gone forever. It'll come to me. But yeah, do you have anything else that you want to add to this point, to how to approach social media if you're not a visual artist? Oh, got the point back. It's back. So my point is that even if you're not a visual artist and you haven't been trained in the visual arts, that almost can work to your advantage. This is all about perspective. This can work to your advantage because you're not going to be doing the things that a traditional visual artist will be doing. So your approach, your vision, your view of the world and your content will be so different to somebody that's been trained in photography and video. You're going to see things that other people haven't seen. You're going to see things that people that have learned the rules can only see that rule. So use that to your advantage.
Actually, you have that advantage for sure. Like beginner's luck is a real thing, and it helps the visual artists get pushed into more creative ways of showing up, easier ways of showing up. It helps us break down our own thoughts of what we think it should look like and come into how it should just flow out instead of like overthinking all the technical aspects of it. Yeah, I love that point.
You are unique. What was the tagline? Show up and be authentic. Something.
Show up consistently, show authentically.
Yeah, nice. I love that.
Yeah, I like really the consistency thing. I mean, it's funny. It literally is what Gary Vee's been saying the whole time. If you need more reminders of this,
he said it 10 years ago.
10 years ago, and then he's still saying it. Like it's just a matter of like showing up, and like the internet. You know, if you're thinking about it from an algorithmic place, the algorithm just cares about consistency. It doesn't care about quality.
I think a point to add to this is see social media as a relationship. Almost pretend that your audience is one person. Make for one person, but
yes,
treat it as a relationship. And so again, I can use my experience as a really good example. I built up my audience, I built up a good relationship, and then I got burnt out of doing my thing, and I ghosted my audience. I stopped posting, I didn't say anything, I just stopped. I stopped showing up, and that killed the relationship. Like if you're in a romantic relationship, if you just ghost them and stop showing up, like of course they're gonna move on.
It's like a rough breakup.
So you really have to, you just got to show up. It's a relationship, and you got to be committed to it for the long term. Like, don't see it as a short term thing. It's not going to be a short term thing. Like, just, there is no finish line. If you want to do this, then be committed to the relationship like it's a marriage.
100%. Yeah, and have fun with it. Like, have fun with it as much as possible. Don't pace yourself with it. If you can only get one piece of content out a week, bet. Yeah. That's it. Done. Cool, no worries. Yeah. Don't stress.
I think building the consistency is more important. Like, there's so many people saying, like, oh, you got to post 3 times a day. Like, these 5 mistakes are keeping you back from growing. You're not posting enough. Like, dude, just...
It's your relationship with it that you need to work with, not whatever the algorithm or the trends or what people are saying should happen or shouldn't happen. None of that matters.
I think if you've built a solid relationship with your audience and you produce really good content, if you post once a week, they're going to show up and watch you once a week. Like, they'll be there. You don't need to post every single day. You don't need to dilute your quality.
And once you develop that relationship, like you're saying, you can actually then show back up and utilize the, more consistent practices of that showing up, or utilize more of the kind of quote unquote algorithmic or trendy things.
Yeah, you can also experiment.
But it's no longer coming from a needy place of like, I need this for my social media. It's more like, oh, like I've got this relationship now with this grounded expression. How can I just begin to amplify that? How can I push this forward? How can I help this business grow a little bit and get this message out to more people? And that's totally valid and reasonable. But again, it starts with that relationship with yourself. And if that gets too over-consuming, like maybe Dean and I in our own ways experienced that of like there was too much focus on how many views, how many we were getting, or how we were posting, or what times. Maybe there was too much focus on that, and we kind of lost touch with what the heck we were doing to begin with. And we had to take some time, figure out, okay, wait, where are we at again? What's going on? Now we're reinvested in like this different way. A relationship way. It's an actual relationship of like, and really it's a relationship with yourself.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
How you're showing up with it.
Even just like, again, thinking about it as a real relationship, like don't go into it being codependent. Like don't be so needy on your existence as a social media content creator. Because if that's your whole identity and then that gets stripped away from you, then who are you? Like you got to have your own life. You got to do your own things. Like don't let it consume you. Don't let social media be your life.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And building that relationship with yourself will help create, again, that separation of the social media and your actual life in the real world outside of it.
Because, I think at the end of the day, like, this is important and it can have really strong impact on the world and make good change. But at the end of the day, it's the internet. It's not real life. It is real life, but it's not real. Like, don't take it too seriously. Put yourself before the internet. Yeah.
That should be a shirt.
Put
yourself before the internet.
That's a good one. Should we gonna start making merch for the show?
Let's do it.
That would be sweet, actually. One day.
I would wear the heck out of that one.
I love that quote. Put yourself before the... I've been on fire today with the quotes.
Yeah, you have been. Set it and forget it. We'll have to start a merch line before the third fucking podcast.
That's gonna be like me with when I started YouTube. I think I only had like 1,000 subscribers, and I was like, guys, I'm doing merch. And I was like, I made like 3 sales. And then I had like 7 t-shirts left over. I think I only got like 10 to start with, and then I sold 3, and then I gave like 5 away to my friends, and then I think I still have 2 in my closet in Cape Town.
Yeah, you gotta keep a couple just to have that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Wow, one day I'll sell it for like $500,000.
Right, whenever you're giving your
the OG Stoke 10 t-shirt.
I think that's plenty for people to digest, and like
I think that was
plenty for me to digest and remind myself of. Yeah. It's the relationship with myself and how can I use it accordingly. Yeah.
And also for clients as well, like if you are a visual artist, hopefully this is good advice to apply to other people that you're working with that aren't visual artists. Or send them our way and they can listen to this podcast.
Yeah, literally. Well, that's cool. That's the cool thing about the internet, because at the end of the day, the internet is there for connectivity. How can we connect? How can we connect over these ideas? How can we connect and find more resonance and harmony? And I think that that's a huge thing that we're trying to, both Dean and I are trying to like bring back alive in our lives. It's just like, how are we just connecting with our friends, and how are we just connecting with the people in our lives that we love? And sharing ideas that feel like they connect and like they click into place. And I think this was a big conversation. I don't even think people know this is such a big conversation, but I think it so is.
Yeah, no, even just after doing the first episode and this one, like even when we started this episode, I was like, I don't know how much we're gonna have to say about this question. Like, I'll say the practical things
38 minutes in,
but it's we've really like dived into it, whatever. And I just like, I think there's so many more questions, and these are such necessary conversations to have around social media and being a creator on social media nowadays that I don't see other people having. No. So hopefully this resonates. If you are listening to it, share it with your friends, share it with your mom, share it with your cats. I don't know.
Exactly.
I mean, everyone's cat and dog has a Instagram nowadays anyway, so they need this advice too.
That's so true, actually. They need to remember to stay present in their real lives and not get so wrapped up in the clout. They get the most clout of all of us. They get millions and millions of views, and you can just show up on the scene.
That's the real advice. Like, don't try and be a creator. Just put your dog on Instagram.
Use your pets. Don't even get your face out of there. All right, use your pet. Way more practical, way more profitable.
It's funny, but it's so true.
It's so true. It's stupid.
You can put so much effort into an edit, and someone's dog will still get more likes than you.
Literally.
Anyway.
Literally.
Okay. If you want to follow Jackson, it is a mystic artist on Instagram. For now. I am at Dean_Tucker on all platforms. Any other updates on your fronts? Any plans you got? Any fun things going on?
Just juggling this.
You're into juggling now?
I'm into juggling. You want to see?
Go follow Jackson for juggling.
No, I mean there's a lot of cool. There's a lot of cool stuff moving, and a lot of cool stuff happening, and just keeping all of it with a little wind in its sails and making sure that I'm staying afloat to keep the projects moving as well. So nothing that's coming to my mind like that I want to share right now, but just life and creativity. And this conversation feels really exciting for me. This kind of conversation, it feels like was what alive for me right now.
Me too.
So,
I mean, I guess plans that we can share is that both of us are going to a music festival in Costa Rica to go hopefully shoot there. Yeah, we're waiting to hear back if we got the media pass or not, but either way,
we're just going to be washing dishes.
Yeah, or we're going to be on recycling duty. We'll see, but we're going down to Costa Rica, so I'll probably make some content down there. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
And then from my side, I got a rap music video coming out on Monday.
Watch out, Eminem! Watch out!
Yeah, I know it's gonna be fun. I wrote a rap song. Didn't really like plan to do it.
Oh wait, you're serious?
I'm serious.
I was like, that's a funny joke. No way.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's gonna be wild. Yeah, I didn't.
That's great. Oh man.
I didn't plan to do it. It's just that's how the music came out for me.
Hey.
That's how the message came out.
It just happens.
And it's a rap song about recycling and consumerism. So
I'm so excited.
And yeah, I made a pretty
so
sweet
pumped.
music video for it as well. So I think it'll be fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
You never know what's coming from
Watch it take off. Yeah, I can't say I'll do another rap song anytime soon, but you know, it's fun to be creative and experiment.
Yeah. Yeah, explore the different sides of you.
Yeah, go check out my YouTube if you want to see that. But otherwise, I think that's all we have from our side.
Yeah, I'm feeling complete.
Sweet.
Stay creative, y'all.
Stay juicy. I don't know why I said that. Okay.
you had all those quotes and then hold on, I'm still gonna write that one down though. Stay juicy.
Okay, bye.
That would be such a great teach. Alright, bye y'all. We're done.